Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video. And to close off Muppet Weekend, yes, the second and last Muppet TV material that I'm about to review, yes. And as was teased, and you knew exactly what I was talking about, and yeah. Probably this one piece of Muppet material on television that nobody, and that especially goes for the Muppet fans, would want to talk about, pretending that it doesn't exist. Like, we don't talk about this one, you know? And, yeah, just... like, what more do I have to say? Just, yes, that's right. So, the last Muppet material that I'm reviewing, a part of Muppet Weekend, not to mention that it is celebrating its anniversary, and say what you will about this, I don't care. Hey, you know, because, you know, me reviewing it and showing some appreciation and, you know, happy anniversary to this, etc. But yes, so that's right. I am finally reviewing from 2005, The Muppets Wizard of Oz. Yes, The Muppets Wizard of Oz. Again, nobody wants to talk about this, and hey, it's their opinion, I respect it, and yeah, I won't deny that it may not be the best from the Muppets. Yeah. But, and you know, maybe this could have been something. It really could have, you know? Because, let's face it, Jim Henson, one of his favorite movies was The Wizard of Oz. How is this possible that how this turned out? It failed. It had bad luck and such. How is that possible? Looking at the look and style for the Muppets doing something Wizard of Oz looks really cool, does it not? But yet, when it came out, and how it turned out, you know, with its storytelling, and no hard feelings on whom guest stars in this, you know, because usually we get some pretty good guest stars. But I guess, yeah, you know, a lot of people pinning this on, say, the main star, you know, the main human star who plays Dorothy Gale in this. Just, you know, come on, say what you will about Ashanti, who plays Dorothy in this, but, you know, look, she tried her best, but, you know, she's a great singer, she's a good talent, not to mention, her being no stranger to doing something Oz after this, because she would go on to be a part of Wicked, so, yeah, where she would play Dorothy Gale. But, overall, because with Muppets Wizard of Oz, and, yeah, to go ahead and talk about the first things I have to say about it, and, you know, because, yeah, oh my gosh, like, I don't know about you. I'm sure a good majority of you, like me, and being 2000s babies, when we were first exposed to the Muppets, especially, like, say, when, around that time, Disney was re-releasing the first 3 seasons, yeah, of The Muppet Show on DVD. I remember watching those, and of course this, getting a DVD copy of it. And then when I would, you know, see some of the other Muppet films, like, most notably, The Muppets Take Manhattan and Muppet Christmas Carol. Those were some of my first 2 Muppet films, and especially since, yeah, those being theatrical Muppet films. Sometime later, I would watch, say, The Muppet Movie, The Great Muppet Caper, and Muppet Treasure Island. Actually, because, I mean, I did see Muppet Treasure Island at a younger age. Like, I remember we got Muppet Treasure Island at a local Blockbuster, but surprisingly, I didn't watch the whole thing, but, yeah. But, yeah, so with Muppets Wizard of Oz, like, I remember when this was coming out, and I remember seeing some of the promos, checking out the Muppets website, and in promotion for Muppets Wizard of Oz. Like, does anybody remember, like, the old days of the internet and with Muppet Studios, and so many fun, interactable things that you can do, and when it came to, say, you know, the promo for the Muppets Wizard of Oz on DVD, and, yeah, and just, you know, having watched the film on DVD, and I don't seem to recall, no, because not seeing The Muppets Wizard of Oz when it debuted on TV, because when it did debut on TV, on ABC and through, say, Fox Television, Touchstone Television, yeah. In fact, Muppets Wizard of Oz came out one day after the premiere/release of Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Well, and also keep in mind, because not only is the month of May the month of Star Wars, but May is also the month for Oz, because the first Oz book published was in the month of May. So, yeah, two biggies that are celebrated in the month of May. But yeah, so, having, my first exposure to The Muppets Wizard of Oz and having watched it, well, I know for a fact that at a younger age, I liked it. I enjoyed it. Nowadays, for me, I don't know, because, it's obvious because I hold a soft spot when watching this. Come on, don't we sometimes, when we're younger, we watch some movies where, the movies that we watch, some of them are not received that well. But at the same time, look, to me, because, sure, it may not be the best, but I don't hate it. I don't think it's really god-awful. It's just, it's not up there being one of the top best Muppet materials whatsoever. I can tell you that. Not to mention that, I had no idea, and, well, technically, this was my first, one of my first introductions to Adam Goldberg, who was one of the writers for this, and Adam Goldberg, the same dude who would bring us, say, the ABC show, The Goldbergs, based on his life. Yes, that Adam Goldberg. Well, Adam being a huge Muppets fan, and luckily sometime very later, I guess you could say he would redeem himself when, he would do a much better Muppet project, and that, of course, being Muppets Mayhem. Yes, because he was one of those that worked and brought to life Muppets Mayhem, so, yeah. So at least that turned out good for something where we have Adam Goldberg working with the Muppets, yeah, so. But yeah, just overall, with what the Muppets Wizard of Oz has to offer, from beginning to end, with, them focusing, of course, and, sticking with what goes on in the Land of Oz, the plot being simple, where Dorothy, making her way from Kansas to the Land of Oz via tornado, and she has to make her way to the Emerald City to meet with the wizard in order to get back home to Kansas, and also acquiring her to wear either, if it's, say, the silver shoes or the ruby slippers, and when she comes face-to-face with, the Wicked Witch of the West, but making new friends along the way, and what they are seeking, and possibly the wizard can help them out on what they're going through. So, it does that, but of course, with some changes here and there with what goes on in the Muppets' take on the Wizard of Oz. Also, this is not the first time that the Muppets have actually done something Wizard of Oz related, because I'm sure maybe some of you know this, for all of you hardcore Muppet fans, and looking through the history of the Muppets, well, because I think, around the 1980s, there was this Muppet special called The Muppets Go to the Movies, where we have Miss Piggy as Dorothy, we have Scooter as the Scarecrow, and we see Gonzo and Fozzie as the Tin Man and Cowardly Lion, and in an episode of the original Muppet Babies, they do Wizard of Oz, and Miss Piggy being Dorothy, and not only is Gonzo and Fozzie the Tin Man and Cowardly Lion, but we see Kermit as the Scarecrow, But so, and like I said, Jim Henson, he loved the Wizard of Oz, and, and just, it's a shame. It could have been something. It could have been really good with how it looks, its style of Oz and with the Muppets, But sadly, bad luck. Just bad luck. Simple as that. And again, as for me, the first things I have to say, I don't hate it, but I can respect the fact, and for all of you Muppet fans like me, this is sadly not the best thing that the Muppets have done. Hey, at least they tried. From Goldberg, Kirk Thatcher, who directed this, But I think that, there are a few things, and I say a few things that, I seem to recall people seem to actually did like, from a few guest stars, most notably one. But oh boy, until I get to him, I think you know who it is. Yeah. Alright, so again, I like Muppets Wizard of Oz for what it is. I respect it's not the best. Okay. So, with all that out of the way, now, as always, for me, read the description / the story. Dorothy lives in Kansas with her Auntie Em and Uncle Henry, of course, while dreaming of success as a singer in Hollywood. Her wishes just might come true when a tornado whisks her away to the magical land of Oz, where she hears about a great wizard who can grant your greatest desires. Okay, so, and yeah, because how much I've talked about before, yeah, but, I will point this out, just a little bit of background, because, well, I mean, around that time, I think, in the 90s and 2000s, and before the Muppets would become a part of the Disney family officially, there were various projects considered for the Muppets, which didn't come to be, and even one of them being say a musical version of Hamlet. But when the Muppets finally made their way into the Disney family, well, Disney wanting to do a new Muppet project, and which would be for TV, to reintroduce the Muppets now that they're a part of the Disney family, under the Disney PM, this, IP, sorry, yeah. And, well, Wizard of Oz came to be, the Muppets doing something Wizard of Oz, and, yeah. Not to mention that the fact that the Muppets would be a part of the Disney family, well, because having come out in 2005, that was the year where Michael Eisner would be CEO for one last time until later that year in 2005, Bob Iger would step in. So yeah, and because this leads me to bring this up where, in introduction, and to start off Muppets Wizard of Oz on TV, where, yeah, we have the Muppets in a movie theater with Michael Eisner, which is pretty funny, and yeah, because Michael Eisner and him appearing on screen, and even when he's interacted with the Muppets, always a joy, and, whatever the Muppets do around Michael Eisner, so yeah, the Muppets being the Muppets, okay. But, yeah, so the little bit of background I wanted to mention. Now getting into the Muppets Wizard of Oz itself, here we go. Let's get this over with, for you. Alright, no hard feelings to you guys, but yeah. So, yeah, I mean, so the Muppets Wizard of Oz, we literally start off, after we see the book, we open with our very first song. The first of the 5 songs of Muppets Wizard of Oz. And, oh, by the way, want to get this out of the way so I don't forget, Michael Giacchino doing the music and score for the Muppets Wizard of Oz, and this is especially when he was slowly but surely making it big. I mean, look where he is now. Golly. Because before doing Muppets Wizard of Oz, he had done some of the Disney video games, and he did one video game of the Muppets. However, some of his other well-known works was doing music and score for the ABC show Lost, and a year before Muppets Wizard of Oz, most prominently, he did the music and score for The Incredibles. Yes, so after that, he did this. But yeah, I think, what the music and score that Giacchino brings to Muppets Wizard of Oz, what's Giacchino? What's not to love of Giacchino? Just, yeah, with the music he does. Anyways, so, again, the first of the 5 songs, yeah, because, yeah, being titled Kansas, okay, and, yeah, because Dorothy Gale, and as mentioned already, Dorothy Gale in Muppets Wizard of Oz being played by the talented Ashanti, her singing about wanting to get the heck out of Kansas and to live her dream of being a, famous singer, making it big time and such, but, yeah, she's unable to, especially where she's at, because stuck in Kansas, working at a diner that's run by her uncle and aunt, and her Uncle Henry and Auntie Em being played by, I think they did their very best playing Uncle Henry and Auntie Em. Uncle Henry being played by the talented David Allen Grier, and Aunt Em being played by the talented Queen Latifah. Yeah. they were good additions to being guest stars in something Muppets, yeah. And, and I think because David Allen Greer, because he's hilarious. Like, I think he especially was really good at what he brought to this Uncle Henry. I'm just saying, because he's David Allen, so come on, what's not to like about him? Anyways, and Queen Latifah, the same goes for Queen Latifah. Like, the chemistry between this Uncle Henry and Auntie Em is pretty funny, that's my niece. Anyways, so yeah. Dorothy's hoping that she can get off work at the diner to go to an audition where the Muppets are right now present in Kansas looking for talents, singers and such. But she's unable to because Auntie Em says that, she can go after her shift's done. But thankfully, good on Uncle Henry. He offers Dorothy to get off early because, and especially because how hard she's worked at the diner. So, yeah. So good on Uncle Henry. And then making her way to the audition, but she's 5 minutes late. And, the guy who was there at the theater, because he only appears for a brief second, and, oh, man, he's uncredited. That's a shame. But, the stage manager being played by Edward Hebert, from Frasier, and he voicing Zazu a couple of times in some Lion King materials. Yeah, he's a great, talented British guy, so yeah. Informing poor Dorothy, because, the Muppets are gone, and so on. But not quite, because the Muppet bus comes in, and, we see Kermit and Miss Piggy there, but also a brief appearance of Bean Bunny, who doesn't get a single line. He's just there, like, he's helping Rizzo lug something in the bus, and a mentioning of Girls Gone Wild. Hey, I mean, at least, like, doesn't that joke seem kind of acceptable? Because surely the Muppets in the good old days would do something like that, would they? Come on, just, I'm just saying, but, understand the logic and some jokes that, even like nowadays, maybe the Muppets wouldn't be able to do under Disney, but anyways. But thankfully, Dorothy manages to, give Kermit a CD, album of her auditions of singing. So she managed to give it to Kermit in just a nick of time before they disembark Kansas. Hopefully, maybe she will be accepted. Like, she may proceed, and if she hears back from Kermit. Yeah. So, but overall, she technically missed her shot, but yeah. And after getting back home, and by the way, because there is an incoming storm, a tornado, it was pretty funny, the stage manager blowing like a tumbleweed, I thought I'd make it, dramatic and such. But yeah, making her way back and, being upset towards, Uncle Henry and especially Aunt Em that, you guys were right and I'm still stuck here and such. And Aunt Em telling Uncle Henry, you need to talk to your niece. You need to talk to your niece. And Aunt Em just giving him a look. Okay, I'll talk to her. And I just find it funny because, again, say what you will, but David Allen, he's funny. So yeah, anyways, you could, especially like if you sense like his funniness, like, what I'm saying, just one of those. And, if we were wondering at first where Dorothy's pet Toto is, in the house, but not a dog. It's a shrimp, but no, it's a king prom. Oh boy, I think we know where this is going, right? Because king prom, well, shrimp, but it's a king prom, yeah. And Uncle Henry and Aunt Em, they talk things out with Dorothy and about, Hollywood and stuff like that, but at a certain point, it just gets out of hand, especially towards Dorothy and Aunt Em. And that being interrupted, especially, this saved Dorothy's skin when, the tornado sirens go off. And I love that Uncle Henry's trying to find ways to, like, patch things up or something, like, bring up a subject and just, like, it's pretty funny. And, oh, great, now I'm stuck with these two knuckleheads. So, the tornado coming in, then making their way to the shelter. Unfortunately, Dorothy, she has to go back for Toto, which she does so. And, of course, as you would expect, the house being whisked away by the tornado, and eventually, yeah, it does crash land, and unfortunately the fishbowl that carried Toto, it broke, but Toto's alright. Now he's Pepe. Now he's turned into Pepe, and yes, Pepe playing Toto in this. And I gotta say, Muppets Wizard of Oz was actually one of my very early introductions to Pepe. I don't know. I want to say maybe I did see Pepe somewhere else before watching Muppets Wizard of Oz, but I don't know. Like, okay, I didn't see Muppets from Space before seeing Muppets Wizard of Oz. Okay, I just want to get that out of the way, so, because it's true. But yeah, so, yeah, Pepe now playing Toto, and he's naked, alright? And Dorothy giving Pepe some clothes from a teddy bear. And it turns out, like, the red jacket, and yeah, because that's a good look for Pepe, because we're in the red jacket and yellow, like, shirt, and, well, apparently now, the red jacket now has 4 arms, because we know that Pepe has 4 arms, so, you know, just don't bother, because that's Muppet logic or something, just, like, I don't know, anyways. So when they step out of the house, like, it goes from, like, a gray, you know, lens, you know what I'm saying, to, yeah, very colorful and bright, and yeah, because they find themselves in the land of Oz, and, one of the first, you know, one of the first things that they encounter are the Munchkins, whom are rats, yes, and, the mayor, Munchkin, happens to be, well, who else? Rizzo the Rat, yeah. And turns out that Dorothy and Toto saved the Munchkin skins from the witch, yeah, the Wicked Witch of the East, which, the Wicked Witch of the East being played by Miss Piggy. But she's still alive, technically, and lifts up the house, but it then crushes her again, and now she's dead, so... But then another witch comes in, which being a good witch, Glinda. And yes, Glinda being played by Miss Piggy. So basically, yeah, Miss Piggy plays all 4 roles of the Munchkins. Yeah. Munchkins? I mean witches! I don't want to get mixed up. It's, yeah, don't we all sometimes? So yeah, Glinda stepping in, and, well, Dorothy wanting to get back to Kansas and asking them if they're familiar with Kansas. And, you know, they're wondering, even Toto, like, why does she want to go back? Because that's her attitude of why she wants to go back to Kansas. Okay. Yeah, and, well, obviously, and as we know, the witch informing Dorothy that in order to find a way to get back to Kansas, she must go to the Emerald City to meet with the wizard. He can be the answer to help her get back to Kansas. But also, in the addition, that she has to wear the silver shoes. And yeah, that is nice to see. You know, we should give the Muppets Wizard of Oz this, that they do the silver shoes, because keep in mind, that comes from the original book. The ruby slippers, that's something that MGM came up with because of the Technicolor, and they wanted the shoes to really pop. Yeah, I'm sure you know by now, but just, yeah. Thus, yeah, she has to. And, also, even though it's not really mentioned, as I recall, you know, they do follow the Yellow Brick Road, even though, because, yeah, no follow the Yellow Brick Road is in this. So, yeah. So they do so. And, of course, yeah, Dorothy and Toto, I should say, can't leave out Toto, Pepe, encountering, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Cowardly Lion. And, yeah, because when coming face-to-face with the Scarecrow, and yes, the Scarecrow being played by Kermit the Frog, Dorothy helping out the Scarecrow, like, because a crow was messing with Kermit, and Kermit sharing to Dorothy and Toto, and whispering, "I don't have a brain." And, well, and then Dorothy telling the Scarecrow, of course, that maybe the Wizard of Oz can help out with what he desires, wanting a brain. And thus, you know, proceeding on to the Emerald City, and no singing, like, say, off to see the wizard or anything like that. Just, okay, I guess it's okay, it works, but anyways. And then when they come across, say, where the Tin Man is, well, the Tin Man, and of course, being played by Gonzo the Great, well, because they find the Tin Man, who basically is wired to these, like, TV monitors and controls to collect data and information for the Wicked Witch. Like, the Tin Man being under the Wicked Witch's command, basically. And how Gonzo became the Tin Thing. Yes, because I can't forget to mention that he is referred to as the Tin Thing, because the witch turned him into the Tin Thing, and to not have a heart, so he wouldn't be distracted with his love interest, Camilla. So yeah. And how the background on the Tin Thing is done in the Muppets Wizard of Oz is not that bad, and besides, if you know, in the original book and the history on how and why the Wicked Witch of the West turned the woodsman into a Tin Man, yeah. So, the Tin Thing, obviously, desiring a heart, and Dorothy telling the Tin Thing that, they're on their way to see the Wizard of Oz, and maybe the Tin Thing's wish can be granted, and the wizard could give him a heart. So, thus, the Tin Thing joins them. And say what you will, but I don't know, because, the one joke where, he has to switch noses because what he was attached to, his regular nose, a cell phone, and Toto checking out, his buttons and such, but, what do these buttons do? No, nothing. They're my nipples. I don't know what to really make of that joke, even as of now. I don't know. At an older age, I didn't make anything of it when I was younger, but, and Pepe just running out, I feel dirty! Hey, if any of you find that funny like I do, because, I'm chuckling, well, that's just us. Come on, Anyways, so then, when they would come face-to-face with the Cowardly Lion, well, yes, because the Cowardly Lion, of course, being played by none other than Fozzie Bear. And, because the Cowardly Lion in this, being terrified of everything, also having stage fright, because trying to be comedic and funny, telling a joke, but the fact that he has stage fright, and he doesn't have courage in him, and thus, that's when they mention to the Cowardly Lion that they're on their way to see the Wizard of Oz, and maybe the wizard can give the Cowardly Lion courage. Yes. And, and the fact, because, the Cowardly Lion gave them a warning about everything in the forest being under the witch's command, even rabbits. Anyways. And, the next song number we come to, the second song number being I'm With You. I don't know, is it me or... Yeah, because more than likely these 5 song numbers in the Muppets Wizard of Oz, they're really not that memorable, and... they're kind of forgettable, but just, yeah. Also, before that, the second song number, although it's very short, it's 18 seconds, because the Munchkins gave Dorothy and Toto a heads up. If they're in need of any assistance, if at a certain time that they need help, then they can call up the Munchkins, and them singing their song, calling all Munchkins, one for all, just, yeah. So, yeah, there was that. So, yeah, the third song number being I'm With You. I'm With You's okay, and, with what all 5 characters sing, and, of course, with Ashanti's great singing voice. But, yeah, overall, it's an okay song. So, as they proceed on, because, well, they then encounter a log/bridge where, seems quite difficult to cross. Not to mention, Kaleida critics are present, 2 of them, and they just so happen to be Stadler and Waldorf. Yeah, and they're based off of these creatures that do originate from the book, the body of a bear and the head of a tiger. I'm sure you guys probably know this, all of you Oz enthusiasts, but yeah. So that's what they're technically playing, but yeah. And, every time, according to, say, the Tin Thing and the Cowardly Lion, because why it's terrifying to cross the log and such, and with them, because, their words, them giving them a hard time, you're gonna fall, and heckling them, and so on. But Dorothy being the first to be brave and to cross, and she succeeds. And then all of the next 3, Toto, he makes it off quickly, then Scarecrow, Tin Thing, but except for the Cowardly Lion, he's the last, and he's too terrified to do so. But then the Tin Thing stepping in, and in the end, yeah, they succeed. And then they find themselves at this club, which being Poppyfield. Yes, we get our poppies. We finally get to see the poppy thing in Wizard of Oz. Yeah, because as we all know, poppies being these flowers to make anybody who crosses them to sleep. And yeah, apparently because Poppyfield being this nightclub and such, and the one that is outside of the entrance of Poppyfield is Clifford. Yeah, and I think Muppets Wizard of Oz was another one where it too was one of my earliest introductions to Clifford. Not to mention, like, as I seem to recall, Muppets Wizard of Oz was the very last piece of Muppet material where we got to see Clifford on screen. After that, vanished. Well, Clifford was fun while he lasted. I mean, him being one of those big Muppets like in the 90s, and we would get brief appearances of him in the early 2000s, and Muppets Wizard of Oz being one of the last pieces of Muppet materials where we see Clifford. Also, of course, have to acknowledge, Clifford, his voice / Muppeteer, Kevin Clash. Yes, the original voice of Elmo. Yep. And Clifford is wearing the shades because, to quickly mention this, because Kevin Clash, he preferred Clifford with shades. Didn't get a kick out of seeing Clifford with eyes. I mean, not to say that I have a problem with seeing Clifford's actual eyes, but I guess, I can understand Kevin's point, because the shades that Clifford wears, that says it all of his character. So, he does have the shades, thankfully. And, it's also a shame that, also to mention this, Kevin Clash turned down reprising any of his Muppet characters for the 2011 Muppet film. If there's a specific reason why, I would like to think probably he just, flat out didn't want to do it or something. I don't know. Maybe because of his scheduling conflict, his schedule / commitments to Sesame Street at that time, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, and if you want to, feel free to share in the comments section on that. But anyways, so then making their way into the Poppyfield Club, and with what Clifford described to them on what Poppyfield's like, and we see the Electric Mayhem performing, and if you noticed, they're wearing nose pins. They're wearing pins on their noses, and nap time, as Dr. Teeth says. And by the way, this is one of the first early Muppet materials where we have Bill Beretta being and he would become the new voice / Muppeteer for Dr. Teeth, yes. And we, of course, see Janice, Floyd, Zoot, and Animal, yes. And they take a seat, but they discover, and thanks to the tin thing, that, this place causing them to sleep. Yeah. And, and the only ones of the gang that sleep are, the Lion, Dorothy, and then Toto. It doesn't affect the Scarecrow and Tin Thing, as we know. Yeah. By the way, because we also get a brief appearance in the Poppyfield Club, Mulch. Now, if anybody knows and remembers Mulch, because he had a big-time part in Muppets Tonight. He was, Dr. Phil Van Neuter's assistant. So, yeah. So it's nice to see that, we get Mulch, and Kevin Clash being the voice / performer of Mulch. Yeah. The Scarecrow and Tin Thing take Pepe out, and the mentioning of calling all Munchkins, and Toto just barely able to give the distress call of summoning the Munchkins, and then of course the Munchkins step in. They help to get the Lion and Dorothy out of the Poppyfield with gas masks, and and their attempts to wake up Dorothy and the Cowardly Lion. Well, the Tin Thing giving Dorothy, the electric shock, clear, and causing her hair to, which is kind of funny. But then the Cowardly Lion waking up and the Munchkins scatter. Well, the Lion's not gonna eat them or anything like that. He's a cat, but still. Yeah, the Cowardly Lion waking up. What did I miss? Seeing Dorothy's crazy hair. Ah! He passes out. It was funny. I like Gonzo's laugh, because, he finds that amusing, and because of Dorothy's hair, and Dorothy finding it amusing too. Very funny, guys. Yeah, we see her brushing her hair. And finally, they make their way to Emerald City. Yeah, man, the look and design of Emerald City from the outside, really interesting, yeah. And then, when they make their way to the gate, they are first greeted by Sam the Eagle. Yes, and by the way, this is one of the first Muppet materials where we have Eric Jacobson, whom, in the early 2000s, would take over the various, not all of them, but just, yeah, a handful of Muppets that were performed by Frank Oz. Well, yeah, because from Fozzie, Piggy, Animal, Grover, Bert, minus Cookie Monster, Dave Rubin took over Cookie Monster, and then finally, when it came to Muppets Wizard of Oz, he took over the voice and performance of Sam the Eagle. Yes. And Sam the Eagle, yeah, he's just, because he plays like the one, like, he plays the part where, you know, can I help you? And you're not on the guest list, now go away. But Pepe manages to talk things out with Sam, and, you know, like, it's pretty funny. Yeah, good on Pepe. Well, Toto, that is. And allowing them to proceed in, and they are greeted by someone at the front desk, which being Scooter, the right-hand, assistant to the wizard. And Scooter in Muppets Wizard of Oz being voiced and performed by Ricky Boyd, and he would also be the voice and performer in Muppets Wizard of Oz for Crazy Harry. So, yeah. So Scooter meeting them, and before they meet the wizard, they have to do a few things. Like, they have to wear special glasses because of the lighting and so on, you know. And by not wearing them, it could, like, make their heads blow up or something. And yeah, because this being demonstrated by Dr. Bunsen Honeydew and Beaker being the test subject, and poor Beaker, because, yeah. And Dorothy has to look glamorous, you know, and as Scooter says, you know, you can't meet the wizard in that getup. What's that, a tablecloth? Check, please, says Bunsen Honeydew. So she has to step into this machine to look glamorous, and when she steps out, she looks completely different. It's not Ashanti. It's, golly, because, it's Kelly Osbourne. Yeah, Kelly Osbourne, who appears as herself, no longer being Ashanti, now she's Kelly Osbourne. I wonder what it would have been like had it been Kelly Osbourne as Dorothy full-time. I don't know, but, yeah. And the jokes that they make, Fozzie, Gonzo, Kermit, you know, that, you know, preferring Ashanti and so on, just, it's pretty funny, just, yeah. So, yeah. That's what happens. So yeah, when stepping back in, and yeah, it's Ashanti again. She looks glamorous now, all in green. Yeah, just like Emerald City. And thus, one by one, and it's nice that they do this, just like in the book, where one by one, each of them, from Dorothy, the Scarecrow, Tin Man, just themselves, they each have to meet the wizard. And yeah, starting with the Cowardly Lion, whom he sees the wizard, like what he sees being the Wizard of Oz, is this dragon-like creature, and asking for encouragement, and yeah, and every time, like, yeah, the wizard disposes them, like sending them down like at a hatch from below their feet, because yeah, ringing the gong, and yeah, so it opens the hatch and they disappear. And yeah, then the Scarecrow, when he meets the wizard, it's this, you know, head that's a ball of flames. And Kermit, don't you think this joke was pretty funny, where Kermit's like, "Hi there, Mr. Oz. Would you be, by any chance, related to Frank Oz?" Now, come on, that's an obvious joke, because Frank's last name is Oz. So, yeah, come on, at least that's pretty funny. And a nice mention / nod to one of the original Muppeteers, Frank Oz. Yeah, I'll give it that. And yeah, because asking for a brain, and yeah, after he's disposed of, you know, you're fired, and, you know, shooting a ball of fire, but yeah, really, you know, sent down by the hatch, yeah. Then Gonzo encountering this CG, you know, beautiful lady, whom is supposed to be the wizard, and the tin thing asking for a heart, and the wizard, who is a female now, because, you know, is, for a girl, and, yes, but not just any girl, any ordinary girl, a chicken. And does she have a big beak like this? And just, yeah, Gonzo is really getting turned on, just like, oh, is it getting hot in here? Golly. And yeah, then next, Bagan, like, launching an egg on the gong, and sending the tin thing from the hatch. And by the way, the tin thing letting out the goofy holler. Yeah. And then now it comes to Dorothy meeting this green-like head, which, yeah, because, I don't know, because, that's that look and design of the wizard and, what Dorothy sees, well, obviously, almost resembling, what Dorothy sees, in the book and so on, but, yeah, a green head, but, yeah. And Dorothy wanting to be famous and so on, what she desires, but also wanting to get back home. But in order to do so, well, of course, the wizard telling Dorothy that her and her friends have to go and, go after the Wicked Witch of the West to collect the witch's eye. And, the wizard, saying, I, doing an echo and such. And it gets a bit out of hand for the wizard to his liking and such, and, hitting the gong, but she's not even right there where the hatch opened, and it's awkward for the wizard, and asking Dorothy, would you mind jumping? Ding, ding. Just because the sound and with, him blinking, and yeah, she does so. Then Pepe stepping in, Toto, and what he asks from the wizard, but yeah, the wizard disposing Pepe and sending him going down the hatch. So, and they find themselves in, in a garbage dumpster and such, yeah. So now they have to make their way where the witch is. And as they make their way, well, the witch being alerted and knowing the presence that, yes, Dorothy and her friends have arrived, and seeing that Dorothy is wearing the silver shoes, and yeah, she wants to get those silver shoes. And by the way, because, yeah, we finally see the Wicked Witch of the West, and of course, being played by Miss Piggy, as I established that earlier. I tell you, the Wicked Witch of the West being played by Miss Piggy, man, she's crazy, because, yeah, being very psychotic and what she's going to do to Dorothy very later on. I mean, that's how the Wicked Witch of the West should be, right? Even as Glinda in the Wizard of Oz films stated, that the Wicked Witch of the West is worse than the Wicked Witch of the East. Yes, worse than the other one. Far more worse. And also, enter the Flying Monkeys, because I mentioned Crazy Harry early on. If it was not obvious, yeah, clearly, because, yeah, one of the Flying Monkeys being Crazy Harry. But the main Flying Monkeys are Johnny and Sal. Yes, Johnny Flamma and Sal Manila. Yes. And by the way, because like Clifford, technically, Muppets Wizard of Oz would be the last big Muppet material where we have Johnny and Sal in prominent roles, and they have big parts in this Muppet project, and yeah, so there was that, and we would see them a few times after this, most notably in the Muppets cover of Bohemian Rhapsody. After that, they disappeared, and yeah, it's a shame, not even appearing in the 2011 Muppet film and Muppets Most Wanted, but thankfully, we have Muppets Haunted Mansion to thank, where they did come back, in addition with, say, Dr. Phil Van Neuter and Mulch, yeah, so it's great to see that, yeah, they did come back eventually, but anyways, so, yeah, so they're the Flying Monkeys, they're one of the main Flying Monkeys, and, the Wicked Witch of the West going on about, what they're going to do to capture Dorothy and her friends and such, and make, saying it very dramatically, and red lighting is on her, and with flash of lightning, well, the sound of thunder is pretty funny. Also, Miss Piggy's pet dog being there too, so yeah, the white dog, anyway, yeah. And seeing all the other Flying Monkeys, because, yeah, Sweetums being one of them, and Sweetums, once again, being played and voiced by the late John Henson, one of Jim Henson's children, and one of his two sons. Also, yeah, there's some of the other Flying Monkeys whom we would see most prominently in Muppet Treasure Island. There's Old Tom, and there's Angela Little Ree, And, yeah, and also, because, that one Muppet that, has an eyeglass. Yeah, him too. You know, it would have been, now that I'm thinking of it, wouldn't it have been cool if we got, like, say, Polly Lobster, Clueless Morgan, and Mad Monty, whom they were some of the three big Muppet pirate villains in Muppet Treasure Island, those three. Don't you think it would have been nice if they too were there, you know, being some of the flying monkeys? That would have been awesome, but, you know, didn't happen, and, yeah, hey, turned out fine without them, so yeah. But, yeah, they were some three pretty cool Muppets, and, you know, their prominent roles in Muppet Treasure Island, but, yeah, so anyways, so, as I said, you know, Old Tom and Angela Larie being there, being one of them, and as I also said, the one Muppet with the eyeglass who's bright purple, yes, him. Yeah, so, overall, the Wicked Witch of the West, giving out the details to the flying monkeys on what to do, and, you know, by bringing in and capturing Dorothy and her friends, and thus, they fly, they ride on their motorbikes, and clearly, because, yeah, this is probably, yeah, a direct reference to the fact that, you know, another Oz piece of material did this kind of thing, where we have the flying monkeys riding on bikes, and that being in The Wiz. If you know, you know. So, yeah, any of you that have seen The Wiz, and of course, I've done my review on The Wiz if you want to go check it out, but anyways, so them riding their bikes and, you know, the music that plays, dun, dun, da, 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 dun, da, 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 even they're singing it. Yeah. But, yeah, they make their way and they confront, encounter, interrogate Dorothy and her friends, and even when, like, say, yeah, because the Wicked Witch of the West confronting Dorothy and the fact that she has the silver shoes, the Scarecrow tries to scare them, but yeah, of course it doesn't work on them. And then the Wicked Witch of the West laying out some more details to Dorothy by song. But the band hasn't arrived yet, and that being the Electric Mayhem. And by the way, because as I mentioned, Bill Beretta as Dr. Teeth, but also Floyd in this. Floyd was voiced and performed by, so he voiced and performed both of them. John Kennedy did Angel Marie and Floyd. I don't know why I was saying the name wrong. Angela Marie or something, just like, I don't know. I blame Sam the Eagle for how he said that Muppet's name in Muppet Treasure Island. Just the way he said it made it think like, oh, Angela Marie or something. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure you get my point, but yeah. So, again, overall, John Kennedy performing / voicing both Angel Marie and Floyd. Yeah. Also, Tyler Bunch performing / voicing both Janice and Old Tom. Yeah. And of course, Dave Goelz, Zoot, and Eric Jacobson as Animal. Yeah, so they get all set up, and yeah, they finally arrived. And also, a nice reference / nod to the Muppet movie where Floyd points out to the Wicked Witch of the West that, you know, well, because why they were late. They didn't show up in time as well because they had to drive their bus. And, you know, like Janice saying that, you know, not every so-and-so, you know, has a groovy motorbike, and Floyd saying, yeah, we've been driving this lousy bus since 1978 or 9. Just, yeah, again, yeah, overall, a nice nod and reference to, you know, the Muppet movie, because where they drove that bus. Anyways, so, again, they're all set up, ready, they're all now set up and ready, and thus they perform. So then, we come to our fourth song number, which being The Witches in the House. Yeah, not bad either. You've got the Electric Mayhem, you got Miss Piggy singing, and yeah, because and with the flying monkeys being the chorus and so on, and a couple of times where Johnny, you know, kind of improvises. Yeah, it's funny. And yeah, as the song proceeds, and at a certain point, yes, because near the end of the song, ordering the flying monkeys to attack and capture Dorothy and her friends. Well, first off, ripping the Scarecrow apart, two of the flying monkeys riding their bikes around in circles, causing the tin thing to spun out of control and his head detaching. Yeah, while they knit and capture, throwing knits at Dorothy, Toto, and the Cowardly Lion. So, and it's just like in the book. Only the lion, Dorothy, and Toto are taken by the witch, while the Tin Man and the Scarecrow, they're left behind. So, yeah, after being torn apart and such. But yeah, so after the song number finishes, they proceed on to the witch's castle. And, well, this is where the witch is about to, yeah, go live and on TV and, well, basically planning to tear off the silver shoes on Dorothy, literally, because, you know, with the cutting device, you know what I'm saying? Just, yeah, that spins around. I know there's a specific name to it, but bear with me. And meanwhile, the Cowardly Lion, who's in a cage, he manages to fool and trick the flying monkeys by, you know, giving them a magic trick or something, just, yeah, and by convincing them, especially Sweetums, he's got the keys, convincing him to give him the keys, and, yeah, and saying these specific words, Owa, Tafu, and, yeah, it worked, and he disappears. And the Cowardly Lion bravely stepping in to try and help Dorothy and the others, but thankfully, you know, they're managed to get unlocked, you know, for being cuffed, especially when the Munchkins come in to help out Dorothy and the others. And, like, a moment where Angel Marie, you know, takes on the Cowardly Lion and the Munchkins when they step in. The Wicked Witch of the West confronts and is almost about to, like, I guess, like, choke the Mayor Munchkin, Rizzo, but Dorothy, being freed, she steps in, coming face-to-face with the witch. Yeah. And, well, them about to fight and such, and the Wicked Witch about to charge and attack the witch. And right as she does that, boom, out of nowhere, we cut to Quentin Tarantino. Yes, now we finally come to him, the one and only Quentin Tarantino. Now, surely, he was another good thing to come from the Muppets Wizard of Oz, right? And if not, one of the only very good, memorable parts to come from this, right? Especially, like, yes, of course I was one of them. And the same goes for you, all of us, which I have no doubt that Muppets Wizard of Oz was our first introduction to Tarantino. Having no idea who this guy was and what he was like, he basically plays Kermit's director, like pitching the Muppets Wizard of Oz and the whole fight sequence of Dorothy and the Witch, you know? And then, just as Dorothy and the Wicked Witch go at it, you know, bam! And what he describes to Kermit is crazy, because, you know, explosions here and there, samurai swords, and, you know, burn, baby, burn! Oz in flames. And to Kermit, that just seems intense for a children's film, and Tarantino pulling back some of the stuff, you know, no explosions, less kung fu, and, you know, I mean, kids like kung fu, but not that extreme. And then Tarantino bringing up, you know, morphing. And yeah, we're talking Piggy transforming into Gonzo, mutating into Scooter, Scooter turning into a big, fusty vampire vixen who explodes in crimson blood. Oh, there's no doubt that Tarantino's appearance in this, you know, the fact that he's one of the top billed names of Muppets Wizard of Oz, but the fact that almost, like, yeah, an hour into Muppets Wizard of Oz, we finally get him. Just, yeah. But my point being is that there's no doubt, and I'm sure you guys would think so too, that Tarantino's appearance in the Muppets Wizard of Oz is iconic. It's memorable. For all of us who grew up being introduced to Tarantino in something Muppets and not knowing who this guy was, but at an older age, yeah. So good. Gotta give it to the Muppets Wizard of Oz for that too. That is perfect. That is genius. And with what Tarantino's describing, very intense and violent, look at what he does. Oh, that's so good. Come on, how can you not love his appearance in Muppets Wizard of Oz? I'm being serious. Yeah. But then, you know, Tarantino, like, he whips off his jacket and then still trying to come up with something, you know, give me a moment, think. I've got it. You know, Dorothy Gale, like he's, you know, walking on the table, getting straight up to Kermit, you know, goes to kick the Wicked Witch. Are you ready for this? You ready for this? In the face. And Kermit then saying, oh, that we can afford. Yes. And then we cut back to Muppets Wizard of Oz where, yes, that's the final result. Dorothy kicking the Wicked Witch in the face, sending her flying, and in a bathtub, and yeah. And by the way, the whole thing on the bathtub, because, well, as we all know, witches are allergic to water. It can kill them. So apparently, what can't kill the witch and be allergic to is bottled water. And because when we first saw the Munchkins, not the Munchkins, the Flying Monkeys, God, when we first see the Flying Monkeys, which being Johnny and Sal, well, because they, like, Sal most notably trying to fill up the tub entirely with, you know, bottled water, but, you know, Sal mentioning to Johnny, why can't we just use regular water? All you need to know is that the witch's delicate pigskin can only handle the nice bottled stuff, and yeah, that's apparently how it is in the Muppets Wizard of Oz. And, well, apparently, because she realizes something's off with the water, and asking what kind of water is this, and Angel Marie once again stepping in and explaining that when they ran out of the bottled stuff, whipping out the hose, and yeah, that of course, like, yeah, like, it's not gonna work, because yeah, you got to stick with the bottled water, and yeah, and it seems like what, like, you know, are we to expect the Wicked Witch to melt? No, because, no, not quite, because she then starts to get skinny. And even like how her face looks being skinny and just, what? Oh, and nuts. And yeah, I see, like, this would be the second death scene in anything Muppets, right? Because the first one being Billy Connolly in Muppet Treasure Island. Now this being the second, where we see the Wicked Witch of the West melt and die. Yeah, even like letting out a pig noise, you know, an oink. So, we never seen Piggy do that, but this is the first time we do so, as the Wicked Witch of the West. By the way, did I forget to mention that what's really cool about the Wicked Witch's design, and because it's Miss Piggy, well, because she has the eye, which that's what the wizard, wanted Dorothy to go after, because she has the eye, which is powerful, and not to mention that, you know, the Wicked Witch of the West covering it with an eye patch. Okay, that too is in the book, where the Wicked Witch of the West wears an eye patch. So, yeah. You know, even in some of in the various Oz materials where they did not incorporate that, the witch having an eye patch still turned out pretty good. I mean, you know, most notably, Margaret Hamilton's The Wicked Witch of the West is, yeah. And that Wicked Witch of the West being, well, a very iconic villain. So, yeah, movie villain, I should say. Anyways, so yeah, in the end, the Wicked Witch of the West, Miss Piggy, is defeated. Johnny being very upset by this, but, you know, even the Wicked Witch's dog, but yeah. And Dorothy finding the eye. But then, when the rest of the Flying Monkeys stepped in, they're in all of joy and the fact that the Wicked Witch is dead. Because according to Angel Marie and the others, they were under a spell by the Wicked Witch of the West with a hat that she was wearing, following her commands and orders. But now, the hat being passed on to Dorothy, so now they're under her command. So one of the first things they do is to go back and to restore the Scarecrow and the Tin Thing, and they do so. Although, not quite, because they're a bit messed up, you know, of how they put them back together. But in the end, yeah, they're all better. And then they make their way to the Emerald City to meet with the wizard, and that they do have an appointment. The eye, just, yeah. So they proceed, they barge in, not wearing the glasses. What they see instead, without the glasses, is an ordinary, like, studio set. Yeah, even the Cowardly Lion making it very clear, this is what I was afraid of? Like, you know, all this time, and when they were there, putting on those glasses, that was an illusion. That was an effect because of those glasses. Even Honeydew and Beaker, when they step in trying to tell them that, the light and such, yeah, it's not working. Just, yeah, they failed. Well, Honeydew and Beaker, you know, funny, you know, they disembark in a funny way, and, well, then we hear a booming voice which scares the Flying Monkeys, and, you know, the only ones that remain in the room are, of course, Dorothy and her friends. And, you know, wanting to speak with the wizard and the fact they brought the eye, and Pepe tries to do something, just, you know, wanting to fight the wizard, but, you know, just like, but, you know, just like he passes out and causing a wire to be unattached, and like the wire, it's a black wire, and then we see this like very small like room where, yeah, we apparently see the wizard himself, on a monitor, and, because, like, and with a voice recording, making his voice sound booming and such. "You do not see me!" and whipping out crash cymbals. Just but, yeah, he's already been exposed, so yeah. And when he meets with Dorothy and the others, and, well, yeah, he's not really a wizard. I mean, he can, he can do, like, say, this kind of magic trick, this, yeah. But, yeah, just overall, and to speed things up some, because, yeah, they confront the wizard, and they want what they asked for. And, well, what happens next is they go on live TV, yeah, at this big premiere, and Dorothy's there at a red carpet premiere and such, and those that she greets signing autographs, like most notably New Zealand asking Dorothy to sign his fish. We also see Chip there. If anybody knows Chip, whom, like, most notably we've seen in, say, Muppets from Space or the Muppets series on ABC, where, the way he blinks, yeah, because he looks like a nerdy Muppet, and with the glasses he wears. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about, Chip, but yeah. And also, 2 times where we see Pepe talking on a phone like he's talking to an agent, but it's not really an actual phone, but yeah. So the presentation goes on where, yeah, the wizard, and by the way, the wizard being played by Jeffrey Tambor, and Jeffrey Tambor being no stranger to working alongside with the Muppets. Well, obviously, he had done Muppets from Space. He played the antagonist who brought in Gonzo, because in Muppets Wizard of Oz, bringing in Gonzo because he's an alien, and yeah. And he was good in Muppets from Space. And you know what? He was no disappointment being in another Muppet material, which being Muppets Wizard of Oz. So the wizard introducing himself, and yeah, because Honeydew and Beaker running, like, say, the audience, like, it's like a, audience track, applause and so on. And we see, say, Glinda, the Munchkins, the Flying Monkeys, and Penguins watching this broadcast. And, well, one by one, the wizard introducing each of Dorothy's friends and giving what they wanted. The lion gets courage. Scarecrow gets a brain, but it's brains. It's like seeds and such. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, brains. Which was thanks to the Swedish chef lending that to the wizard. And yeah, taking his head off and pouring it on his head, just yeah. And the Tin Thing getting a heart and reuniting with his love interest Camilla. Yeah, and the Penguins, they were like, "Aw." And then, when it comes to, say, Dorothy Gale, well, her getting to sing on live TV, It's a Good Life, and that's the 5th and final song number, but we only get a little bit of it when then she has the whole live broadcast, like, just stop everything, because, pointing out, even to those who are watching this, that none of it is real, and pointing out to her friends that, what they got, what they desired, they had it from the beginning. And it's just like how it is, where, yeah, all that time, with what they desired, they had it all the time. The Scarecrow had a brain. The Tin Thing did have heart, and the lion did have encouragement. Yeah, but that is except for Dorothy, because, yeah, she still hasn't made her way back to Kansas and so on, and asking the wizard, to still help her out on this, and he suggests to Dorothy to go see Glinda, because she can help with Dorothy's situation. Even the wizard pointing out that, you're famous now, you're on TV, and yeah, but that's, as of this point, that's not enough for Dorothy, because now all that she cares about now is going back home to her uncle and aunt. Yeah, going back to Kansas and so on. So, after that, and we see Dorothy, her friends, and the Flying Monkeys making their way back to Munchkinland to meet with Glinda. Yes, and Glinda, and to speed things up some, giving Dorothy all the details on how to get back home to Kansas, and by using the silver shoes, clicking the heels, and so on. Also, Dorothy saying goodbye to her friends, even Toto. Toto, for some reason, stays behind. Beats me. I don't know. Even passing the Flying Monkeys hat, that was once worn by the Wicked Witch. Now she wears it. she now passes it on to Sal. I mean, he is a monkey, and it seems suitable that, yeah, whom, is in charge of the flying monkeys, well, would be a monkey, and that being Sal. Yeah, so there's that. And also, we get to see the Witch of the South. Yes. And the Wicked Witch of the South, well, being Miss Piggy. And apparently, it's love at first sight for the Scarecrow when he meets the Wicked Witch of the South. Okay, well, I mean, yeah, because, the love between Kermit and Piggy, yeah. Anyways, so yeah, overall, Dorothy saying her goodbyes, passing on the baton to Sal, and yeah, clicking her heels, asking to go back to Kansas, yeah, her disembarking, still in the green getup, the nice green dress, and her reuniting with Uncle Henry and Aunt Em, and telling them that they were right because of, what was brought up at the beginning, and just, yeah. But, it turns out that, well, maybe, yeah, because Dorothy does have a shot in the nick of time because, well, Kermit happens to be at the diner. And also, to name some of the other cast members, because, yeah, like like some of the other Muppet performers, like, yeah, because there's Julianne Busher, if I'm even saying her last name right. Again, you know me sometimes. She was the wizard as the Green Lady, yes, and she was also the chicken, And there's also, yeah, and Drew Macy, he was one of the additional Muppets, but also assistants to some of the Muppets. He was the assistant to Clifford and Sal. He was also Spotted Dick. Yeah, I assume, yeah, one of the flying monkeys. And Alan Trotman, he was, Old Tom and the Crow. Yeah, so, and Alice Deneen as Camilla, and Foo-Foo. Yes, that's the name of the dog, Foo-Foo. And Mike Quinn, he was, from Mike Quinn, Gord Robertson, Adam Bear, and Jenny Cassidy. They were some of the Muppet performers, as well as Jeff Redknapp and James Rowley, and also the weatherman that was on TV before the tornado came in, now turning to yellow and such, him. That was Dan Payne. Yeah, if I'm saying that right. And one character that appears at the diner and is, I assume, yeah, a friend of Aunt Em and Uncle Henry's, Earl. And Earl being played by C. Ernest Harth. Yeah, he's a great actor, and yeah, he's done a lot of stuff. Like, I can think of most notably, he was that fat ghost pirate in one of the Scooby-Doo films, in the early 2000s with Matthew Lillard, Sarah Michelle Gellar, yeah, he was one of those ghosts. Yeah, so he just makes a silent appearance at the, at the start of this movie. And then, when he would appear again, where he's having a meal with Kermit, and when, yeah, Kermit is informed that Dorothy is here, yeah, and Kermit walking off the, from the table, Ernest's character Earl, like, snatching Kermit's plate. Dang, Earl, this is Kermit the Frog we're talking about, but yeah. So, yeah, Kermit meeting with Dorothy, but Dorothy doesn't seem like she's ready to do this, and wanting to stay at home, and, well, Aunt Em making it clear and stopping Kermit from leaving the diner, that even though that Dorothy's gonna go big time, she'll always be there, like with what Aunt Em specifically says to Dorothy, yeah. And it's nice to see that, things patched up and Aunt Em, yeah, proved better. So, yeah, especially because with what with what Dorothy was wanting and such. Just, yeah, overall, it ends off pretty good, yeah. And now Dorothy making it big time, following Kermit, and yes, we see where Dorothy finally makes her debut, and yes, we get the full version of It's a Good Life. And that song was not bad either. And back at the diner, we see everybody watching on a TV. Not to mention, Steve Whitmire and Dave Goelz are there as themselves, yeah, being one of those at the diner. And it's funny because, one more funny moment between Uncle Henry and Aunt Em, because, that's my niece, my niece. And yeah, all the Muppets coming in, and, even Ralph, he's there too, because we never saw him throughout this. Do you think it would have been great if, maybe he was Toto instead of Pepe? maybe. But, not to mention, in the original Muppet Babies, when they did Wizard of Oz, Ralph was Toto. Why couldn't he be Toto? Well, no hard feelings on Pepe, okay? And that's another thing. We don't see Pepe at the end with all the Muppets. I'm guessing there's a specific reason as to why, but, beats me. But, yeah. It ends off on a happy note, and where Dorothy is, and with the Muppets, yeah. Yeah, so, The Muppets Wizard of Oz. Again, say what you will about it. I get it. It's not the best piece of Muppet material. It is what it is. It just, overall, to put it this simple as this, Muppets Wizard of Oz just had bad luck. It could have been really good, but sadly, from, say, Adam Goldberg, Kirk Thatcher, and everybody else who was responsible for bringing Muppets Wizard of Oz to life, they tried their best. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. Yeah, but just overall, for everything from beginning to end, its story, the Muppets and whom they play in the Realm of Oz, and the guest stars that they have from Ashanti, Jeffrey Tambor, Quentin Tarantino, David Alan Grier, Queen Latifah, and also Kelly Osbourne, Edward Hebert, and C. Ernest Harth, and everybody else who appeared in this. They did their best, and there was nothing really anything bad about them being in this piece of Muppets material. No. And the look and style to Muppets Wizard of Oz is really good. There are a few funny moments here and there, and most prominently, Tarantino's appearance. Come on, because that is definitely the highlight from Muppets Wizard of Oz. And the music and score by Giacchino. Some of the songs, yeah, because all 5 of them, not that memorable and are more than likely, yes, forgettable. But there's really nothing bad about them, okay? Yeah, some things, if not the entirety of Muppets Wizard of Oz, doesn't work, but yeah. What more do I have to say? Just, yeah. Overall, the Muppets Wizard of Oz, it is what it is. It had bad luck. Bad luck. Yeah. Also, I want to mention this because, when having the DVD, which, yeah, and oh, by the way, because, yes, you saw the thumbnail, Yeah, because, I have some fond memories when watching the DVD, like, some of the behind-the-scenes, Pepe's interview with Tarantino. Of course we have to have that. Even, the Muppets website and, some stuff in promotion for Muppets Wizard of Oz. Yeah, there is a small, interview with Tarantino, and there's one of Miss Piggy, if you know what I'm talking about. Just, yeah, any of you, like me, had experienced the Muppets website, and when Muppets Wizard of Oz was coming out. Just, you get my point, yeah. All right, so how I rate the Muppets Wizard of Oz. Oh, boy. I don't know, because I guess this is good enough for me. 5 stars, yeah. 5 out of 10 stars for the Muppets Wizard of Oz. To me, that sounds about right. As much as I like and appreciate the Muppets Wizard of Oz for what it is, I don't hate it whatsoever. Yeah, 5 is enough for me. Just, yeah, and I'm sure for you. But yeah. So there's that. 5 out of 10 stars for the Muppets Wizard of Oz. And what about you guys? What did you think of the Muppets Wizard of Oz itself? Oh boy, I would definitely love to hear. If any of you, surprisingly, like me, are on the same page where you didn't think it was that bad, you didn't hate it whatsoever, and if you have any fond memories when watching Muppets Wizard of Oz at a young age like me, your memories of getting the DVD, if any of you got to see this when it first came out on TV, do you have any favorite moments? And, funny moments here and there, Tarantino's cameo and everybody else that guest stars in this, and with what the Muppets do, and if by any chance you have a favorite song, yeah, just overall, what do you think of the Muppets Wizard of Oz itself? And with what I've had to say, my review, and yeah, what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review video a like, as always. And so, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of The Muppets Wizard of Oz. More review videos are coming your way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I will see you guys in the next video / review. And with that, Muppet Weekend has come to a close. Yeah, it was fun with the 2 Muppet materials on TV that I reviewed, and yeah, I look forward to doing this again. Yeah, so again, thank you very much for watching. Take care, happy anniversary to The Muppets Wizard of Oz, and peace out. Waka waka!